Hello, everyone, and welcome to I believe this is our 8th show. So, 7th or 8th, I'm a little bit off, but I feel much better today. Hey, we got a great show lined up for you today. So today we're talking about two coaches today. All right. So, welcome to another episode of Gridiron Leadership. I'm Dr. Marilyn Carroll, and today's show is truly special as it marks our journey again into what is now our 7th or 8th episode of this enlightening series. So each episode so far has been a step in building a comprehensive understanding of leadership through the lens of college football. And today, we're taking that exploration to the next level. Okay. So in this episode, we are going to dive into a unique comparison that's just not fascinating for sports enthusiasts, but also incredibly insightful for anyone interested in the nuances of leadership. So we're spotlighting two remarkable coaches from LSU, the past coach, Ed Orgeron, and the now coach, Brian Kelly. So what makes this comparison intriguing is that we get to examine their distinct leadership styles while leading the same team. Today, we're focusing on LSU Tigers football, a program that has been has seen really dramatic changes in leadership from the charismatic Ed Orgeron to the disciplined Brian Kelly. We'll explore their coaching styles, their achievements, and unique impact each has had on the team. So let's start with Ed, okay? Ed was affectionately known as Coach O. He brought a blend of passion and enthusiasm to LSU, culminating really into a national championship. I think it was 2019. And so let's look at his tenure at LSU, examining how his charismatic personality and effective recruiting shaped the program. However, sometimes leaders can go to the dark side in leadership, and others perceive that he went to the dark side of leadership because of after winning that championship, things kind of got out of hand. He went through some personal challenges. And I'm going to tell you all, I've seen it for myself in relationships where there's a stable relationship at home, there's usually a more stable relationship in the world of their career as well. So Ed, or Coach O, had some challenges. He had a larger than life personality and still does, and a close connection with his players. There were some strengths and some challenges of his approach and how it translated into success on the field, but it also translated into some challenges off the field. Then we're going to talk about Brian Kelly. So LSU shifted from Dr. O after several losses, some challenges, personal things, some things that were happening out in the public eye, and kind of changed some things there for Dr. O. And we're going to look at those things and see how they were. I looked at several videos on Dr. O, YouTube videos. I also looked up some things on sports in the sports magazines and saw what some of the sports writers were saying about him. Went back into, I had to look at some previous games and things of that nature, kind of see what some of the players were like. I mean, I took a deep dive because I wanted to understand Dr. O a little bit more. And then Brian Kelly, did the same for him. His significant change in leadership style was very paramount for LSU because of some of the challenges I perceived they went through under Dr. O. So Coach Kelly is known for his disciplined approach. And he brought a different flavor to the program. And we'll analyze that and the implications of the team's dynamic performance under him. So LSU's shift to Dr. O marked a significant change in leadership style based on what I can see. Known for the disciplined approach on Kelly, brought a different flavor to the program. Kelly's arrival brought new strategies and a focus on consistency. I think that's more so what they were looking for, a program with processes, procedures, things of that nature for the players. And I think that kind of brought about a change for the whole LSU team and how it's looked. I think that Kelly brought more to the table as far as working with the students, making sure that the students were doing what they needed to do. Well, today's, not only are we looking at two coaches from one to the next, I wanted to compare that to some parallels between the coaching transition we saw there and possibly a similar shift we saw in the business world. More specifically, the shift between Steve Ballmer and Nadella at Microsoft. So in this episode, I want you to understand on all episodes, it's not just about football strategies and coaching philosophies. It's a deeper dive into how leadership principles, the challenges of transitioning, and the impact of different leadership styles are as relevant in the boardroom as they are on the football field. So whether you're a diehard football fan or a business professional, or simply someone fascinated by the art and science of leadership, today's show promises to offer you valuable insights and some thought-provoking perspectives. So guys, get ready for this phenomenal exploration of leadership in action. So let's dive in. So we're going to start by diving into some questions that I received while I was putting this show together. And I've had the opportunity to spend some time with individuals out and about talking to me about Maryland, how do you see that? Why are you talking about football right now? I just love the energy that was brought on by, like I said, earlier in the season, all that action around Sanders, it provoked and intrigued me. So thank you for joining us on this journey on leadership styles as we look at the LSU Tigers football team. Again, the episode layout provides a comprehensive look at leadership styles or Dr. Coach O, Dr. Ed Orgeron, and Brian Kelly, offering insights that hopefully apply to the various aspects to you of leadership and team management. Guys, I've designed this to engage college football enthusiasts and those, again, interested in the broader leadership themes. Now, when I compare the styles of Orgeron, Coach O and Brian Kelly to establish leadership theories and practices, I saw where each of the coaches' approach aligns with different aspects of these theories. Understanding their style in this context really provides some valuable insights into how various leadership models operate in high-stakes environment like college football. So Ed, each of these coaches we've discussed so far have some component of transformational leadership. They have to, in order to transition from one coach to the next. However, Oregon amplifies the transformational leadership style mainly through his ability to inspire and motivate. That's the part of transformational leadership he has. And he's known for his passionate speeches and emotional connections with his players, which boosts morale and drive performance. The charismatic part of his transformational leadership, it really was his larger than life, as I could see from my research, personality that aligned with the charismatic leadership and transformational leadership traits of leadership styles. He seems to attract and retain talent naturally, and it creates a strong sense of team identity and loyalty to him. However, with each of the coaches we discussed, situational leadership is important. You have to change based on the situation. Now, Coach O's demonstrated flexibility in adapting his coaching style to the strengths and weaknesses of his team, which is a crucial aspect of situational leadership. Now, let's take that for a moment. We talked about transformational, charismatic, and situational. Now, let's look at the opposite. That's Coach Kelly, Brian Kelly. His leadership style is more of one that's authoritative leadership. His style is more aligned with that type of style. He sets a clear vision and goals for his team and guides them towards achieving those objectives that he wants, or they decided to achieve based on what he's there to do as a coach. Emphasizing a disciplined approach to achieving success. Now, whereas Coach O was more of a transformational leader, Coach Kelly is more of a transactional leader. His focus on structure, rule, discipline also hints at the transactional leadership approach to me, because where clear expectations are set and performance is closely monitored and rewarded. He also has a coaching leadership style. We talked about the coaching leadership style. Some coaches seem to have this as a strength and others do not. Kelly seems to have this as one of his strengths. He emphasizes, or his emphasis on a consistent performance and personal development of his players really resonates with coaching leadership to me. His focus is not just on winning games, but also in improving the individual players' skills and overall team cohesion. Very important to me. So comparing leadership style and context to leadership theory, I would say one is emotional versus rational. Coach O is more emotionally charged, charismatic approach, whereas Kelly is more rationally structured. Flexibility and consistency. Coach O has a lot of flexibility, and that flexibility kind of led to some challenges, whereas Coach Kelly is on consistency. Constantly, you can count on you. When you see him coming, you know what's coming towards you. You know what the expectations are. Motivation versus influence. Now, both coaches effectively motivate their teams, but in different ways. Coach O uses his infectious energy and personal charisma, while Kelly employs more of a systematic, goal-oriented strategy to his approach to coaching. Cultural impact, I would have to say that Coach O's style creates a passionate, high-energy team culture, whereas Kelly's approach fosters a disciplined, performance-focused environment. Both have their merits and can lead to success, depending on the context and the goals of the team. So both leadership styles, it depends on what's needed at the time. You see, they were going from all of this high energy before with Coach O, and they had to bring it down some, had some challenges on the team, and those things really did have to be dealt with. So I'm going to say that in this whole approach, really, in looking at all of this, I have had awesome time looking at the coaches on and off the field, and my ability to now speak more educationally. I know, guys. You're not here to be educated, but I love education. I love knowing things. I don't want to just pull things out of the air like there is nothing to it. I want to know the whys behind things that are happening and looking at them. And like I said, these kind of things just inspired me. Especially this transition between the two coaches. For example, I said the Steve Ballmer and Nardella at Microsoft. I could also look at Apple, the transition between Steve Jobs and Tim Cook's. After Steve Jobs, known for his visionary and charismatic leadership, Apple transitioned to Tim Cook. Why? Because I think Tim Cook brought a style focusing on operational efficiency and social responsibility. And I think that that was more of the means from an entrepreneur to a business professional and what it is that needs to happen. The impact there was a change and shift from a product innovation driven culture to one more of operational and socially conscious focus while continuing Apple's legacy of high performance products. And again, if I go back to Steve Ballmer and to Nadella, I can see that Microsoft's transition from Steve, intense sales-driven leadership, to Nadella's more inclusive, empathetic, and collaborative approach to leadership. And that impact there kind of really revolutionized Microsoft, focusing on more cloud computing and AI, and fostering a culture of learning and innovation, and really moving away from aggressive competitiveness of the era of the real era around Ballmer. And we can do Starbucks with Schultz and Johnson. Schultz was known for his charismatic leadership and his focus on company culture and customer experience, while as Johnson took over and brought a more technology-driven approach to operations. Do you see some common themes here? When things were first started, there seems to be more of a charismatic energy, transformational thing happening. And once we've gotten to some level of market share, we seem to move towards more of that transactional steadiness, what's next, and not so focused on creating more, but taking what we have and making it more, I guess you would say, more economically feasible for both everyone involved, in all the stakeholders involved in the situation. General Electric did the same thing with Jack Welch to Jeffrey Imlett. Welch's tenure was marked by a hard-nosed performance-first culture. Was the other, Jeffrey was a shift to focus toward innovation and global expansion with a softer approach to leadership. And focusing on that clean energy technology seen by Jeffrey through though face maybe some challenges with the company's stock performance and market adaptation. And we could look at Yahoo from Myers to Verizon's leadership, and we see a total difference there. Marissa's leadership focused on revolutionizing Yahoo's core business and product innovation. After Verizon acquired Yahoo, the focus shifted to integration and leveraging really synergies with Verizon's existing businesses. And the impact we saw from the outside was the acquisition shift from an independent internet company to becoming part of a more extensive corporate portfolio, changing the strategic direction and operational focus of the company. All right. So I do want to go back. I don't want to skirt over the questions that I received in my audience. Yes, I had an audience of a few, and I thought that was great to get an audience and really utilize them to ask questions of me and why. I thought it brought a very different approach toward our show. So I'm going to start with, I think I got 4 or 5 questions, and I thought they were great. It really was more, guys. I have to be honest. It was more questions, but I decided to focus on the 4 or 5 questions. Maybe, I think it was 6, maybe 6 questions. I'll go that route. So the first question was, how did Ed, going back to the 2 coaches, how did Dr. O's charismatic leadership style contribute to his success at LSU? Well, Dr. O's charisma was crucial in building solid relationships with his players and fostering a passionate team culture. His ability to really motivate guys and connect personally helped to recruit top talent and galvanize the team to perform at its best. I think we kind of probably see some of that going on with Sanders now, and that style that he's using. It probably won't be a style that'll be at the school forever and a day, but it's there that is needed to start building that program up. So what the next question I got was what were some of the crucial differences between Coach O and Coach Kelly's coaching style at LSU? Well, Dr. O is known for his emotional player-centric approach, really, right? That's what we've come across so far. While Kelly was more structured and disciplined, or has been more structured and disciplined. Now, Coach O's style was really about inspiring and emotionally connecting the players, whereas Kelly's focus on strategic planning, consistency, and performance matrix was the key things. Now, if you look at Coach Kelly is more along the lines of a lot of what we see in corporate organizations, that strategic planning, consistency, and performance matrix to guide next steps and player development, as well as who the players are you bringing on the team. The next question I got was, can Brian Kelly's structured leadership approach be practical environments outside of football? Guys, absolutely they can. So as I just stated, Kelly's emphasis on discipline, strategic planning, and precise goal setting is highly transferable to the business world and other organizational settings. His approach can lead to consistent performance, efficient operations, and long-term success for an organization, no matter what that organization is. So my next question from the audience was, what leadership lessons can we learn from how Coach O organized high pressure situations? Well, I have to think about that for a moment. And from what I could see watching the videos and things of that nature is this. The one key lesson I took away is the importance of resilience and maintaining a positive outlook. Coach O's ability to stay upbeat and motivated, really motivated his team in high pressure situation. And I think for me, it demonstrated how a leader's attitude and demeanor can significantly impact the team morale and performance. Because just like as a parent, children are watching the dynamics of you, and I see it in these little kids. They watch their parents look on their faces, how their parents treat people and things of that nature. The same happens in any team environment to me. All of that is looked at by the team. They're watching you right and left, especially young, impressionable minds. Yes, they are constantly watching, guys. So how does Brian Kelly's focus on performance really translate into business context? Now, Kelly is all over business to me. So why you say that, Marilyn? Well, focusing on performance and results, guys, is crucial to business, just like in football. So Kelly's approach highlights the importance of setting clear target, measuring progress, and holding the team members accountable, all of which are vital for achieving business objectives. Even my scope as a professor, even doing this, I'm constantly measuring myself, saying, you got to do better. I'm watching the numbers. I'm watching the metrics. I'm watching how many people watching or not watching. I'm watching I put in various metrics to see what do I need to do? What should I do next? I'm taking I'm surveying my audience. I'm surveying people that's asking me questions that happen to have listened to the podcast and asking them additional things. Why? Not for me. My goal is to learn and to apply this the world of collegiate sports to leadership coaching to that of other organizations from a leadership perspective, and taken away from that. And I would imagine if I did NFL and some of the other teams as well, I would get a more in-depth, because you're dealing with a different set of circumstances, I think, both winning and losing, but I'm looking more to In an NFL setting, I'd be looking more to these people's livelihood, and who you choose to work with is similar to that of what you would choose to work with in a corporate setting, in high stakes corporate settings situations. So I really do think that Kelly's focusing on performance. Again, it's really crucial for business. When you can have those clear targets, and you're measuring that progress again and holding yourself as well as your team accountable, it is vital for meeting business objectives. How else do you know that you're meeting the objectives and you're doing what you need to do? So our last question that I took from the audience was, what can emerging leaders learn from the contrasting recruitment strategies of Coach O and Coach Kelly? Well, emerging leaders can really learn that there are multiple practical approaches to recruitment. I think what I studied from, or what I perceive and gathered from Coach O strategy, was more about personal connection and charisma, whereas Coach Kelly's approach, and I see this in business as well, guys, approach was more systematic and strategic. Both methods have their metrics to them. The key is finding a strategy that aligns with your leadership style and organizational goals. So you have to know that. And this is what I found so impressive to me about this whole world of college sports. The whole insights of watching Coach Owen and Coach Kelly offered me insights that I could apply to various aspects of leadership and team management. The coaches, football, and their enthusiasm for what they were doing versus what was there. I also saw a lot of things that I think that both coaches probably want to work on. From Coach O is out of the whole football realm now, and he is now managing CEO of a company, one that I believe he started. So he's CEO of the company, and he's, I would imagine, using those leadership styles that he has to connect with what's happening there. Now, if I go back and look at national championship aspirations, and this kind of how Coach O started, kind of the dwindling, some may say, out of control. Now, Kelly had success at Notre Dame. LSU may have viewed him as a coach who could elevate the program to compete regularly for national championships. If I was looking at him, that's probably what I would look at him for. But in both cases, the hires to LSU's specific needs and aspiration at those times that both coaches were brought in. And with Kelly, for example, it could have been when O rather was brought in, his dynamic and passionate tenure was probably too branded. I'm kind of lost for words on that one, but sometimes we can be very charismatic and transformational. Once we've transformed, then it's time for us to move on to the next thing. They transformed and won a championship. Then they kind of shifted backwards because we started getting out of control based on that. We got to think about the players. We got to think about what legacy we want to leave behind, what legacy the school program wants for the team. All of these things matter when you're really looking at your team, your work, their cultural shifts. And just as in business, just as LSU experienced a shift from Coach O's emotional charge, charismatic leadership to Kelly's disciplined, structured approach, businesses often see this too in organizational cultures with new leadership. This could mean moving from a more informal entrepreneurial culture to a process-driven, hierarchical one, or vice versa, like we saw with Yahoo. Changing strategies and priorities. As in business, leadership can change from often what brings new strategic priorities and operational focus. Same thing you saw with Apple, same thing we're seeing at Microsoft. Continuity and change management in business. Effective change management is crucial in both scenarios. Just as in a football program needs to maintain some aspects of continuity for stability, businesses must balance the new leader's vision with the organization's legacy, practices, and values. We got stakeholder engagement that could be going on. So we got to engage the stakeholders, and I'm learning a lot about engaging those stakeholders when it comes to the world of college sports, the alumni, and people of that nature. So this whole thing has been quite interesting to me. The lessons that we can learn from each. From Coaches O, the study of charismatic leadership, I would say charismatic and motivational, player-centric and adaptable strategies. The lesson for businesses, Coach O's tenure highlights the impact of charismatic leadership and building team morale and loyalty. Now his style shows the importance of emotional intelligence and adaptability in leadership. Of course, when Kelly arrived, a shift toward a structured leadership approach. And in that structured leadership approach included discipline and strategic, yet performance-oriented and systematic recruitment. I think that Kelly's recruiting style reflects a systematic approach, aligning with his overall strategic vision for the team. So, but lessons there for both, from a both leader perspective. So, and looking at all of this, how do we take this and now kind of close it out? Because I do think that both, and you'll see in the article that I write as well, that both of these leaders have their own style, but I really wanted to pinpoint for the audience why one would change in the midst of the other. And like I said, I really like the whole focus. I took one of the ones and I dived a little bit deeper into using Coach O and Coach Kelly with Steve Ballmer and Nadella at Microsoft. And I could kind of see, I had to compare the two to kind of dive in and do that comparison. So in closing, I'd say the leadership transitions at LSU and Microsoft offer valuable insights into how strategic shifts in leadership can really redefine the organization's direction and success. These case studies that I kind of went over today demonstrate that lessons of leadership in sports, particularly in adapting to change, cultural transformation, and balancing that different leadership styles, are universally applicable and can provide a roadmap of success for various fields, including business, guys. And I found that to be the case over and over again when I dive deep into the various leadership styles of the leaders. I did not do a SWOT analysis this week for the two coaches because I wanted to spend some time with the questions from the audience, since I had an audience that I could ask questions or could ask me questions and could kind of engage me into things they really wanted to know and why they would really really be listening to the show. And I really think the guys that were here and that asked me the questions, the guys that I happen to be in the company of watching this weekend's sports games. We have saw so many this week of all the bowl games that were there. And I'm so grateful that I was more educated and more involved. I could get more involved in the game, not only from cheering from the teams, but seeing the direction and how things from the leadership, the coaches' leadership was being played out on the fields. And on some of these now, guys, people were surprised of the winners that I said would be on the games based on the coach's dynamic leadership style. Not that I got into this for that, but they were surprised. And all but one game, I was able to call who would win. And so I was totally taken aback. Maybe it was just luck. It could have been luck, guys, but I was really taken aback about that. So there's a lot out there on both Coach O, Brian Oregon, and Coach Kelly, Brian Kelly, Ed Oregon and Brian Kelly. There's a lot out there on both of them. I found a lot of information, and I hope that you guys really are able to take a lot from what we did today. So I want to thank you for joining us on this journey through leadership styles, shaping LSU Tigers football program. Whether you're a college football fan, interested in the broader leadership lessons, there was much to ponder in the saga of Coach O and Coach Kelly. Now, until next time, this is Dr. Marilyn Carroll. I'm signing off for the Gridiron Leaders. Take care.